Hey everybody, it's Mr. Corfich. I'm just going to give you a quick little overview of what we discussed in class today. Ms. Glock did a great job of kind of going over a bunch of things, and I just wanted to put a video out here for those of you who were unable to come to class today, but also for those of you who were able to come to class today but are struggling with some piece of what you're supposed to be doing so that you could have a reference point. So the first thing that I wanted to point out is that we have kind of started something new where we're going to be posting our lectures prior to coming to class. So we tried this week. We posted something on Monday. It was called The First Americans. Ran into a little technical difficulty because I didn't quite understand the limitations that Nearpod had. So I had to post a second one that said the same thing, First Americans, but for this was only for those who were unable to get into the first file. Now, I'm also learning today that Nearpod's having some problems. So it says that it's due today. I'm going to change that due date on those assignments so that you have a little bit more time to get them. But you are expected to, when I post these, you're expected to do them prior to coming to class the next time. So just a little bit of warning, I am going to post something about Christopher Columbus sometime either Thursday or Friday, and the expectation is that you do it by the time you come to my class on Monday. I can tell whether you've done it or not. That's the other thing that I feel like sometimes you guys might not understand. These are essentially Google Slides or PowerPoints, but they also have audio recordings on them, and they have questions after many of the slides that I'm kind of checking for your understanding. Nearpod does a great job of showing me exactly what you've done, what you've clicked on, all that sort of stuff, so I can get a feel for actually what you did. If you literally just clicked on the slides, opened it, and then closed it, it's going to show me you did nothing, and you're not going to get any credit for that. This is for a grade. I'm not necessarily giving you a grade on how right you are, but I am giving you a grade on at least you attempting to interact with it and attempting to try to answer the questions and listen to what I've told you, and so on and so forth. So when these are posted, you are expected to do them. You will be given a grade for doing so. All right, so what we talked about today was, first of all, we went into a little bit about this land bridge stuff. Since the Nearpods are out there, I don't think it's necessary for me to cover that material with you. You can go out into the Nearpods. I do understand they're not working currently, but give it an hour or two, even check back tomorrow, and you can get that information. If they're still not working by tomorrow or Thursday, then let me know, and I will try to find another way to get you that information. So what you are going to do for our next assignment, this is a mastery grade. It is the Bering land bridge animation. Based off the information that you were given in that Nearpod, and that Ms. Glock went over in class today as well, you are going to do an animation on Google Slides that shows how we believe people got from Asia into America. How we believe the theory of how the first people got to the Americas. This is American history. That's what this class is the history of the United States. Well, we have to understand where people came from in the first place. Because for a very long time, the North and South America continents were empty. There were no people here. People only existed in Asia, Africa, and Europe. And then suddenly, randomly, people started showing up here. Maybe not random. We have a theory about how that happened. Much like your Sam Smiley theories, it's based on the evidence that we have. It's not necessarily saying this is 100% factual. We actually are starting to uncover evidence that this might not necessarily be true, but this is still the best information that we have at this point. So we are going to teach this as our theory. Now you are going to show us using Google Slides how we think that happened. So you're starting off with this blank slide, right? Everybody has this blank slide here. You've got a little bit of a landscape in the background. You've got some land over here, and you've got water here. This is your basics of how you do this. I'm going to show you how to do kind of the basic things that you need to be able to show here. So one thing you can do is you can add a background. You can click this background button, and you can change the color of the background if you want to, if that's your thing. That's a little dreary. I probably wouldn't do that. But you can also choose an image. You can click choose image. You can go to Google image search. Let's say I wanted to say it was, I don't know, sunny. No, that's not what I want. Sunny weather. There we go. So if I wanted to use this as my background, I could click that and say insert. It might work, it might not work, we'll see. That didn't seem to work. Let's try it again. Oh, it did work, okay. A little slow. But if you like that, feel free to use something like that, or don't do anything. You don't have to change the background. You're going to insert pictures into here to kind of make this pop a little bit. So what you can click insert image, and once again you want to search the web. So let's say I wanted to insert a picture of a sun, and I would suggest that everybody do this. And one other thing that you're almost always going to want to do when you're searching for pictures is you want to say PNG file, just PNG, because what a PNG does is it makes your whatever picture you use, it makes it transparent. Okay, so I can insert this picture, and if it works properly, you see how that has no background on it? A PNG file is not going to have a background on it, so it just kind of blends into the picture that you want to use. If I were to do it without a PNG file, there's a chance, it doesn't always work out this way, but there's a chance that it would have a background to it, and it just wouldn't look as good. There's nothing wrong with it per se. So, but see how that's white over that blue background? That doesn't look great. So try to do PNG files as best you can. Another option, instead of PNG, if you just can't remember that or whatever, you can say no background, and you can find a picture that usually will also not have a background. So this, if I come in, that doesn't have a background either. Either one is fine, PNG or no background. Either one of those works. So I'm just going to leave this sun here. So there's one thing that I've put in there. Now I want my animation to start off with something that we need to show in the slides. Remember, the whole goal that we're going for here, the whole thing that I want you to show me in this assignment is that people crossed from this area of the world. We're considering this to be Europe, Africa, and Asia. This is the Americas. So we want to see how people got from here to here, because they certainly didn't swim across. That's like at the very least, that's like a 60-mile gap between these two areas. And in most cases, it's a lot further than that. So they didn't swim across. They didn't walk across water. So how'd they get there? I want to see that. Well, we know that they were hunting animals. They were hunting big game animals, and that's how they lived. So let's say I wanted to insert a picture. I'm going to use a mammoth. You don't have to use a mammoth. You can use some other big game animal that they were hunting. But let's say I typed in mammoth. And once again, I want to type in PNG. And you know what? These are fine, but I would rather find like a cartoon image because I just think they look cooler. So if I look for mammoth cartoon PNG, then I get something a little bit different. I get this guy. I'm hoping that that comes through as a no background file, and look, it did. Okay, so cool. So I've got my little mammoth over, not my little mammoth, my big mammoth, and he's on this side of the world. Now, one problem with this image is that it's facing this direction, and I know I want him to go over in this area. So one thing I can do is I can flip him. If I right-click on the image, or if you have a Chromebook and you don't have a mouse, you have to click your little two fingers on the keypad. You right-click on it and you click rotate, and then I can say I want to flip horizontally. That means I'm going to flip it in this direction, and I can make him face the other way. So that's a good little tip that you need to know. So I'm going to put my mammoth on here, and I'm going to then also find a picture of some kind of like caveman or something like that. Well, I didn't even have to search for it because I like this guy. This little caveman's pretty cool looking. So I'm going to put this little caveman on here. Now, a caveman probably needs to be smaller than my mammoth because mammoths are huge and humans were not that big. So, you know, whatever. So I got my caveman and I got my mammoth on here, and I'm going to position them here. You can go in as much detail and be as creative as you want to on your slides. For me, this is for the purposes of explaining this to you, I'm just going to leave it here. So this is my first slide. This is what I've got set up. Now, in order to make it animated, I'm going, you know how you have the little picture books sometimes where people like draw little cartoon images and then they just draw little frames of animation and then they flip it and it looks like that's an animation, it's a cartoon. That's basically what we're going to do here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this over here on the left where it says number 1 on my slide, and I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to say duplicate slide. Now, what I'm going to do once I've duplicated my slide is I can just take this mammoth, move him a little bit forward. I can take my little hunter and I can move him a little bit forward. And then if I just look at these two images together, if I start here and then I click down and I look at that one, now it looks like they're moving. So if I click one more, and I move my guy a little bit more, and I move my mammoth a little bit more, and so then when I look at it, now it starts to look like they're like actually in motion. So that's what you're doing here is you're creating kind of a motion capture, motion-based animation file. Okay, I'm not going to walk through the entire thing that I want here. I am just going to show you a couple more things that I need you to understand. My water here. Watch what happens when I can take this water, I can lower the level of the water, which is the key piece of information that you need to be able to do in this. When I lower it low enough, now my land bridge is exposed. Okay, so I would want to maybe show why, not maybe, you have one of the key piece that you need to be able to show me here is why that water level started to drop. It's because the ice age happened. So maybe I'd start to make my sun a little bit smaller. Maybe I'd start to bring in a little bit of, I don't know, an iceberg or a glacier. Change that to glacier. What happens? Yeah, so I get this guy, or I like this one. This is the one I always use. So, oh, that's big. Let's make that smaller. Okay, so now I'm starting to show that it's maybe getting a little bit cooler out. Maybe you could throw some snow in the background, and that's going to make my water level drop. And then I'm going to duplicate my slide again. And maybe this gets a little bit bigger. Maybe this gets a little bit smaller. That's just showing me that it's getting colder out. And as it's getting colder out, that water level is dropping. That's kind of the key piece that I need you to understand here. You are going to show me your understanding of this whole relationship. I'm going to show you a couple of examples. This one was done by a student of mine a couple of years ago when I first created this assignment, and you can see kind of how creative she got with it. So she's got the snow in the background. Let me get rid of myself here. She's got the snow in the background. She's got waves on the water. You can see like a hint of an iceberg here. You got your mammoth. He's facing that direction because there was nowhere for him to go. Now he's facing the other direction. It's getting colder. My icebergs are getting bigger. My water level's dropping. My hunter's coming after my mammoth. They cross over the bridge. Ultimately, when they get there, then it starts to get warmer. My iceberg is getting smaller. They're melting, and my water level is rising, covering up that land bridge again to where that mammoth and that hunter are both now in that area. And then she just randomly threw this little fish in here, which is just super cute, and I like it. And she put an ending slide on it. Amazing. Much simpler version of this that me and Miss Glock created yesterday. Got your little cartoon little mammoth there. It's obviously very hot out. I got a big old sun. My hunter comes. My hunter kills my mammoth because the mammoth had nowhere he could go. And then it starts to get a little bit colder. I've got my snow and my icebergs, and everything's starting to get even colder and colder. And as you can see, that water level starts to drop, exposing that land bridge. The mammoth and the hunter cross the land bridge. The sun comes out. It gets warmer because the ice age is ending, and now they're over there in that area. So that's the assignment. Again, if I didn't say it before, make sure I say it now. It is a mastery grade. You have a rubric that is in your classroom page in multiple formats. You can see it from the classroom page there. There's also just a separate attachment on your classroom page that shows you the rubric. You get a possible 4 points. On your four possible points are you showing me evidence of climate change? Basically, are you showing me that the ice age happened? That it was started out as being warm, and then the ice age happened and the climate got really cool, and then later on the ice age ended and once again the climate got really warm again, or warmer. If you're showing me evidence of that climate change and the ice age, you're getting 1 point. If you show me that the water level drops, exposing that land bridge due to the climate change of getting colder, then you're going to get another point. Are you showing me that when that land bridge is exposed, that people and animals got from one area of the world to the other? That's going to be 1 point. And then we have this just called concept mastery, where you're basically saying, you're showing me, I'm saying, oh man, this kid gets it. So basically for climate change, water levels, and migration, are you showing that they occurred? And then concept mastery is Does it all make sense? Are the concepts related? Can I tell the relationship between climate change, water levels, and migration? Do those all make sense? Then you get a point for concept mastery. Okay? I'm going to stop it there. If you have any questions, feel free to email, call, private message me or Miss Glock, and we will be able to answer your questions hopefully as quickly as possible. This is due on Monday once again, so please get to work and let us know what you're struggling with. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. I will see you on Monday.